anything.
Greetings, dear friends. We are happy to welcome you on Allatra TV. And today we continue to talk about the creative society. And we are very curious to know the vision of such a society from our special guest. But before the introduction, I would like just to remind our viewers that Creative Society Project is a unique global initiative of people from all over the world. And nowadays, people in all continents, all countries are conducting these interviews and social surveys to find out how do we see the world we all want to live in. And I'm very glad to introduce our co-host today, Tahira Amir Sultan Khan, founder and CEO of the Golden Door, Truth and Integrity of the Written World from Singapore. Greetings, Tahira. Welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me to co-host. And it's always a pleasure being in collaboration with Allatra TV Creative Society. Have spoken a few times here with some of our other winners for the Golden Door 2020. And very much believing in what the mission of Allatra TV. Thank you so much. And I'm pleased to also introduce the speaker who's come in. She's based in Switzerland, formerly from Philippines. So she's one of the winners for the Golden Door 2020 under the category for the poetry. Okay, so Mystqx Skye. A very poetic name she has. Okay, so yes, so she mentioned earlier that she's going to talk about educating your opinion. I'm interested to know what she's going to say about this. But I'll tell you a little bit about Mystqx. She's not so much, so much in the open, I would say. This is all very new to her, but she's got so much substance, I'll tell you that. Sometimes it's not about being so well known, but we need, at least what we believe in Golden Door, is that sometimes the people who really have the stories, the great stories, which need to be shared, they need to come out into the open and to speak with courage. And I know this about Mystqx, that she is willing to, and she writes based on courage. And that's really important right now in this world. So, of course, there's so much more I can share about her as a poet. But she is, I believe, just starting to do more, much more and more and more. And we want to encourage not just to write books and write essays just to be well known. Many people just do that. Many people write for branding. It's not about that. We write to deliver a message. That's the essence of writing, and also the essence of speaking. To speak is not just to become well known, or I want everybody to know who I am. It's not about that. We are in the critical time in history that messages need to be heard, important ones that can shift thinking and transform lives. And I believe Mystqx is taking that seriously in whatever she's doing. So yes, thank you so much. And as the founder, I'm proud to have more and more people who come in and walk that mission. So she's also Golden Door Ambassador now. And the ambassadors come in with us for 2 years, and we help them. So Mystqx, good to have you here.
Yes, thank you for having me as well. It's a pleasure to talk to you again, Tahira. Always have something good to learn from you. My courage came from being involved with you. That's where I really started writing for social change.
That's great. And maybe you can share a little bit about your journey, so people know what brought you to this step.
Okay, so when I started writing my poetry book, it's just really more about me as a woman and the difficulties I encounter. But when I started writing it and sharing it to people, I realized that there are many voiceless people out there who cannot share what they feel, and they are really afraid to talk about it. And so it inspired me to write my depression time and how I came about it. And people who are strong are also entitled to say um, that they have this breaking point and that they needed help. And I thought before it's nothing just to write it, but when I wrote and people responded that they feel like they found some reprieve or they found some consolation in it, then I found the joy in writing, and I found like the purpose of of having this book and writing what I feel and helping other people to voice it out was it. But then I got involved with Golden Door, and then I found that there's more into it that I can do. When when I started this journey with Golden Door, I started to ask myself the questions about what is really important when I write, what I wanted to tell people, and then the truth behind some serious things in society, plus me being a mom and seeing these things happening to my kid, it made me really write more courageous, more brave to not just about me, but what is happening to other people. So then I found another voice in my writing, and that is writing for social change. I believe that I can use my writing skills to write about some of the destructive behaviors in society. And one of my goal there is really to like inform or help the newer generations, like my kids, to understand how we can communicate better. And then if we communicate with respect, then we can have a chance to really peacefully coexist. I think the start of the problem is when people don't treat other people with respect, and they feel like they have to defend themselves and be attacked as soon as they have information, or as soon as they people tell them something different, then they start feeling attacked and they start feeling like they want to defend themselves, and then everything like starts on a negative tone. And then that's when I realized that I have to address these issues, and the only thing I can do that is to use my skills as a writer. So I write my second book, which is titled Educate Your Opinion, because the topics there is about, most of the topics there involve really those detrimental the stereotyping and labeling which is detrimental to society. And I wrote that because when got involved with Golden Door, I realized that there are other people who's also trying to find out the truth in things. And I found out that there are other people who's also like me, who's afraid but they have something to say. And when you have something to say that you think can help the society be better, you have to hold hands and do it. And I think for the kids, especially now, which is um, have very easy access to information but don't know how to dissect those information. And because not everything in the internet can be true, but then you have the chance to challenge those information and and be open about it, instead of just creating a barrier and saying this is just the truth for yourself. And that's when I started to write the book, and then afterwards got the courage to publish it, because there are lots of difficult, or I would say sensitive issues in the book. And I speak with the other ambassadors. I spoke with Roshani about it as well, and she said that even if it's a difficult topic to talk about, like religion, or being an anarchist, or being a Democrat, like political stance, I think if you have something to say about it, then you have to put it out there for people to challenge your own, and then you try to open up your mind to it. And when you start opening your mind to other people's opinion, you have the chance to grow as a person, and that starts that's where society starts to peacefully coexist, if you try to open up your mind to what other people believes in.
That's actually quite deep. What do you think, Allatra TV?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And it's really coming understanding how important from one side to understand each other, to find this truth, which like set us all free, to speak about it. Thank you so much for sharing it. It's really very deep and it's wonderful. And I also would like to introduce our co-host today, Olga. Olga, would you like maybe to ask the next question?
Thank you for introduction, Anna. Yeah, I'm very pleased to be a third co-host today because we have an amazing guest, and I'm also pleased to meet Tahira personally. It's very nice to see all of you girls today. And listening to the story of Mystqx, I actually was amazed how brave you were at some point when you started speaking out your thoughts, your feelings, and what actually bothered you as a human. And I've got a question in my head, like, there are so many people who already understand like what's wrong with this world, and how world should actually look, so all people could be happy in it. What could you advise these people from your own experience, how to start speaking out loud about these truths, transparency, and values which are really important in this society now?
Yes, I think it's it's a very opinionated world. Everyone says anything that they want without really checking the facts. And in the book, I wrote the acronym STOP. It's STAP. S is for stop talking. So before you even, I thought like before you even say something, you have to stop talking and think first, because it's a very instincts is a very difficult thing to control. When somebody talks to us and just say something what they want to say, and we don't stop to talk, and we just say our own opinion, our own thing, then we again go back to the negative thought. So I think it's very important to stop talking, and then you think.
Mm.
And I think when you stop talking, your brain gets this pause to process the information what other people is saying. And then when you start thinking, and then your brain starts to process information, you start also to ask. That's A. And when you ask, you challenge other people's beliefs and information. But then you have to know how to ask properly. When you ask, you don't ask to find, I think when you ask people, you don't ask to find faults. That's important. I think when you try to ask, you try to ask to find a common ground, like what could be good in what he's saying, or what could be true in what he's saying. Because sometimes, when we listen with judgment already. We listen like we wanted to find what we can counter to the other person. But when we try to listen to find a common ground, to try to understand that person, then we can find this space where we can like try to coexist. And then when you pay attention to their answer before you really start talking, what you want to voice out, and that is where you educate your opinion before you say something, then it's a more open kind of opinion, because then you try to hear what the other person say, you try to understand it first, then your brain tries to tell you maybe there is some truth in that, but this is also what I want to say. Then the other person can feel that you are not attacking them, but trying to communicate what you want. Because sometimes when we try to argue our point because we feel that we are right and this is what we believe, the other person feels like you wanted to just take over what they want to do or what they want to believe in, instead of trying to, tell them, I want to communicate, I want to tell you that this is how I see it, I see how you see it, but then where can we find a place where we can try to understand each other
Yeah.
instead of feeling being attacked. And I think that's when it starts, that when you start to think, first you educate your opinion, first you educate yourself before you say something, then people fight less. It's not that, I mean, arguments is healthy, but how to argue is
Mhm.
the problem. When you argue because you want to fight instead of arguing to find a common ground where we can be peaceful
Yes, yes.
coexisting, then
So the
it
key point is education, right? To listen, to learn. That's what it is. We need to listen to learn, not to answer. That's what the problem with the
Exactly.
that we are waiting to give our answer. And yeah. And the next step, mistake, what do you think of this thought that you reach some kind of common ground, right? And the next step is the birthing of something new that comes out of it. When two people reach, they agree on something, they don't agree on everything, right? But when something is agreed upon, the next stage, something can come out, some good can come out of it. And that's a conception. Yes, I think
yeah,
it's a very
I also heard a very interesting um, mindset, and it's agree to disagree. I heard it from business
yeah,
people talking about transactions. But when you can't find a deal, when you can't find a common ground to agree, for example, it's as sensitive topic as religion. For example, um, I grew up Catholic in the Philippines, but then I lived in Thailand for many years, and I found out that Buddhism is also um, a very good belief. And then I have lots of friends from other religions as well, like Muslims and Sabbath and Jewish. And sometimes when we get together, um, we don't talk about religion per se, but when we talk about other stuffs, it comes along, like for example, how you teach your kids, or where you bring your kids to study this and that, and then it just gets, religion just gets blown away. And instead of trying to block this topic, because that's another form, you like feel negative about it, you just don't want to talk about it. I think it's also safe to say, or to tell the other person, or you agree to disagree. I don't believe in that. This is how I do it. But then that's it. You respect that that way can be very good for them. That's how they believe it is, and it's good. It's going to work for them. But then you also believe that for you, it's going to work for you. And then that's like the 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 place where you put respect, because you respect that that works for them, and they respect that it works for you. But then you don't have to push your beliefs to them, and then I think you can peacefully coexist, because I think there's really good in everything, in every religion, in every belief. And that even the atheists, I think they have their own. In the book I also wrote about atheism, and I think there's also good in that when you try to understand them. But then the thing is, you don't have to agree with what they believe. You can agree to disagree peacefully.
Mhm. Okay,
Thank you, Mystqx. Very
thank you.
interesting thoughts. I even wrote down some of them because I always was thinking a lot. That really in our society, people they listen just to understand when the opponent stops talking to talk by themselves, not to understand what really is spoken about. And
Yeah.
common ground is very important. I feel like if people really don't try to find faults, as you said in the beginning, while conversating with each other, there wouldn't be any disagreements, fights. Just understand that nobody is fault in any thoughts they pronounce. That's very good that you said that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And mhm,
Yes,
In,
I see it a lot. For example, it's funny when you go to the playground, you
mm,
have lots of kids
mm,
playing, and then when you try to listen to these kids having discussion, um, one says this because he said, "My mom says this, and I'm gonna do that," or the other kid says, "No, but my mom says it's better like this," or something like that. But they still play together, and
ah,
I think that's a very good thing about kids, because then they just say what they want, and then the other kids say what they want, but they know that they can still play together even if the other is just doing that and the other is doing it. And so I thought that's really an interesting social behavior from kids. You know, the other kids says, my mom says that I need to do this because this is like what she taught me, and the other says no, the other one says, yeah, but my mom told me that I need to share my food, and the other one says no, my mom says that I have to eat first my food, I have to feel full first. But they still play together, and then they try to, like, during how they play, they find something that they can agree upon. And I think it's very interesting how kids do that. But in arguments with adults, you see, for example, in the TV, when adults argue, they argue to put their point out and make the other person believe that that is it is, not just to be, hear the other person to try and understand what they're saying, but they talk and they listen to just really voice out what they want to.
mm, yeah.
yeah, that's a very good example.
This this is what you call it, the culture of honor. If you heard of that statement, the children are teaching us actually how we need to honor the others in a very basic way. But the
Yeah.
culture of honor is respect. We all
Exactly.
have different. Then we will eliminate a lot of the. Look what's happening right now. You're watching the news just today. I think this Israel and past few days, Israel and Palestine,
Hmm.
because I mean it's so intense now. They declared war
Yeah.
against multiple countries, uh, targeting the Hamas. What? It's a different religious beliefs and different wanting to own, and well, we have lost it, haven't we? The stick, we have lost it. Yeah. So
Yes. i
Exactly.
think i think the society that we have right now is very, how do you say that, very consuming.
Consuming. Exactly.
Yeah,
mm,
people try to consume other people for their own benefit, but
mm,
we are like billions of people in this planet. There cannot be really just one. And the more we understand that there are truths out there for other people as well, and not just our own, I
mm,
think we can exist really peacefully with each other, because then we don't try to own them, or we don't try to get them to where we are, but we try to find what's good in them, and then try to experience those bits and pieces which are good, apply
mm,
it to ourselves, and then still exist like how we believe in it. But because, for example, I am raised Catholic, but now I believe in Buddhism, and I really want to, um, like, go through this kind of thinking. But then I respect my mom for having those beliefs, and then I told my mom about it, and at first she didn't really agree, but then in the end she said, it doesn't matter what you believe in, as long as there's goodness in it, then it's fine. Because there are different things to practice, and and sometimes the beliefs are so different that you cannot agree on it. But I told my mom it's not about agreeing, it's really just about accepting that this works for me now, and this is really good, and I really respect you and those beliefs that you have, and still we can, have a very loving relationship.
Yes.
It's a very good example.
Would,
Yeah, and
would you like
Tahira, sorry.
Allatra TV would like to show the 8 foundations?
Actually, before moving to 8 foundations, I would love to ask another question about the society, because you touched this topic that nowadays our society is not perfect, softly saying. How do you envision the society where everybody can find this creative way of living? Everybody can be safe, happy, and healthy.
Hmm. I have these questions many times in my mind, because I think when you have kids, you think about really a society that can be really better for them, how they grow. If you're not here, how can they be live in a better world? And I think when I ask this question, many times myself, it always boils down to teaching my kid the very basic thing, which is respect. When 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 you when you have this mindset that you respect other people, then before you even fight, before you even argue, before anything else, even before you think, when you think that other lives are as important as yours, and this person, even if he's for example, if he's poor, he doesn't have any house on his head, or this person who's very rich and has everything, and if you try to see them equally in your eyes, that this two both needs respect on how you talk to them, how to ask them, then you don't feel like you are superior, that you have, I think the feeling of superiority is start when you wanted to own somebody else's, um, you want to get your message across, and then you just want the other person to listen to you. And when you think about respect, I think that is a very basic human value that everyone really needs to keep in mind. Then you don't really start fighting, but you start to understand. And that's what I teach my kid as well, because they're bicultural. They're half Swiss and half Filipino. So I try to teach them really like what could be good and better for you here doesn't really work for other people. And the more you see it, the more you respect that other people is as important as you as a person, then you don't treat them badly because you don't want to be treated in that same manner. So you try to do it first on you, try to respect them even if they don't respect you or they don't shout at you, and then it's going to make a ripple of change. Even if you don't get that respect at first, but you still continue to do it, and people will feel it somehow, that you're trying to understand them and not, not attack them. And it's very difficult, especially living in a society where you are like a minority, so to say, because for example, me living in Zurich, and my kids being bicultural, they have like people who thinks of them with prejudice already. And it only stops, for example, if this other person also gets emotional literate, like if they also taught to respect other people before they have this preconceived notions in their head. So I think it boils down to teaching or helping to instill respect to people.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And it's really so important when we understand, as you're saying, no matter what other person is doing for you, right? But to be yourself. because every person understands that I'm really feeling wonderful when I'm doing something good and when I'm staying myself. And this power, this freedom to be yourself, regardless whatever is happening around you, I think that is changing a lot. And when you dive as of today's society, it has been little bit critical questions about division by religion and other things. But I would like to say that on May 20th was the wonderful event, which showed that there is no division by religion, because every religion is bringing the one truth. And people from all over the world gather together and discuss, like, in all our religions and all our teachings, there is the same truth. And when we find it, when we understand it, it's like uniting all of us. There is no more division, there are only we people and this equality and this beauty. So as we're moving now to the 8 foundations of the creative society, I would like to present us the short video from this conference, Creative Society, What the Prophets Dreamed of, and then we could discuss a little more about the foundations.
The biggest social polling in our entire history of civilization has been conducted during the last 10 years by people around the world. 180 countries, millions of people of different social statuses, denominations, nationalities, talk about the society in which they want to live in. And this is a creative society based on the answers of the people from around the world. 8 foundations of creative society were established. A society where all people can live in happiness, peace, and prosperity. This is that very society that our prophets bequeathed to us. All prophets talked about the value of life, freedom, honesty, common human values, equality before God, mutual respect, and unification of people, about love for each other. They talked about the common truth and about the world which we can create. The prophets said, there will be a time when we're able to build a creative society. We are honored to live in the time which the prophets talked about, when everyone is chosen.
So, Mystic, we would like, as we know, you read the article about foundations of the Creative Society. Could you please share what benefits you see for every person when these foundations are being implemented, or maybe what you liked about them the most, some points?
Yes, from the 8, what struck me the most is freedom. I think freedom is one of the most important thing in this world. When people can be free to live the life that they want while being safe, telling what they want to say. Um, in the Philippines, where I grew up, there they say that there is freedom of speech because it's claimed as a democratic country. But when I was studying mass communication, that was not what I saw, because the the freedom to speak is just really for the one who has the power. And there's like this hierarchy when you are, for example, just a normal reporter in a not so known broadcast station. They can, even if you wanted to say what you wanted to say, because that is you think what could liberate other people, then society or the hierarchy stops you from doing that. But then if you are somebody like from the top and you have access to information dissemination, then you can really just say what you want without filter, without thinking of the consequences of what you speak. So I think freedom, the human freedom, and the freedom of speech is what struck me the most in these 8 pillars.
Thank you, Mystqx. Yeah, and I'd love to show to our viewers first, second foundation, just for their understanding. Human freedom. And now we are switching to fourth foundation, which you already touched a little, freedom of speech. But there is also important part, transparency of information. Now we'll see it on our screen too. Fourth foundation, transparency and openness of information for all. I know that you like this foundation too, Mystqx. Why do you think information should be transparent? And how can society change if information is available and accessible by every person in the world?
I think people are really intelligent and they can think for themselves what is good for them, but they can only start to do that when the information given to them is the true information. And if the information is biased, then it's no different than manipulating other people to thinking what you want to think. And I think that's not good, because it's like you're monopolizing an idea. But then when you give all information out there, like really open, and this is it, there's nothing hidden in it, then people can choose what to believe in or challenge their own ideas. Should I really believe in this or not? Then you don't have this constriction in yourself. Because then I think it's important for people to think if it's good for them and not just being monopolized. But if the information that has been given to people is already corrupted, then the roots itself is already corrupted. Then people are going to start to think just like this without having the opportunity to really see the truth. Like, for example, when I was studying in college, and my school is near where the government office is, and most of the time when there's a riot or a rally or something, they close the school because they fear for the safety of the students. But once it happened, like really very quick, they weren't able to close the school. So there are like people who witnessed the acts, and there are reporters being shot while reporting live what is happening. So the media or the people in power are trying to suppress the people who are trying to tell the truth. And I think even up to now that is really happening. And I think that is where transparency and openness of information comes, which is really important, that people try to protect other people who's doing this, because I think it's very brave for people to tell the truth out there no matter what happens to them. And I think they need people who go out there to really tell the truth in the story. I think they really need to be protected. I think there's not a lot of I don't see a lot of of that happening at the moment, because once the other person, you know, gets bullied by the other, then they get scared, and then the information, the true information, doesn't come out anymore, and it's just really buried. And it's not just in the Philippines. I also live in other countries, and I saw this as well, that media is trying to control transparency of information based on their own agenda. And then the people who are powerless, or the people who's just really listening, is robbed of the truth, which is I think really the problem nowadays, especially in the internet. Because even if, for example, I have friends in Korea, even in Korea, in South Korea, when I did the interview about freedom of the press, I thought it's a very how do you say that? It's a very highly educated country. It's high technology and all that. But then there are instances where really reporters or people who broadcast what they see online, the truth, are being just really cut. And then the media manipulates it to their agenda. And I think writing for social change, especially those reporters who wants to air out the truth so people can decide for their own, or people can voice out, or you know um, or unite in a common ground, doesn't know where to go, because then they have this and then they have that, and they don't really know anymore what is the truth, and they can't they are already lost because the information that they get is already tampered.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. You know, you're touching so deep points, in fact, and looking at our society. That's why, for example, this project was initiated by people, because we understood that until we look a little beyond all of this, until we understand what is really happening, how we want to live, first of all, you know, and try to find out that good thing in every person and in society to create something good, then only it can change, you know, like when we're looking, and as you were saying, when we start respecting each other, when we are looking at all this best and so on, and it's happening in society as a whole. And also, you know, as we're talking about changing the format of society from the consumer based, when we love things more than people and even more than own life sometimes, to the society where actually human life is the highest value. And this society can be built only when the true human potential of every person is developed and manifesting. And now we would like to present a short video, which is showing an interesting situation about our consumer format, I would say. And this video is from the conference Creative Society, Together We Can, which was on 20th December 2020. So let's watch it and then we'll discuss about that.
Aliens came to Earth. At first, they flew around it, saw everything, and then decided to talk to the people on Earth. They asked, "Why do you have so much garbage and garbage cans?" "Well, this is because we don't have enough money to build waste processing plants." "But why do you have so many hungry and homeless people?" "Well, this is because we don't have enough money to feed them and build houses for them." "But why are you constantly at war with each other?" "This is because we don't have enough money and we're trying to take it away from others." The aliens scratched their heads and said, "We fly around galaxies, have explored many worlds and planets, but have never met such a rare and, as it turns out, such a very necessary resource as money. Could you show us what it looks like and show where you get it in space? Then we will try to get it, bring you more of this money, and help you establish harmony on your planet." "We don't fly anywhere to get money," the Earthlings answer. "We print it ourselves." "Yourselves?" said the aliens. "Yes." After this answer, Earthlings were deleted from the list of intelligent beings.
That is cute. Very nice. But
Yeah.
it's a wake-up call.
Interesting video, right?
It's true. In some, as the core of it, we are losing our intelligence. We think we are intelligent.
Exactly.
Actually not.
Exactly.
We think we are very knowledgeable, but we don't use the knowledge. All
We,
education is not being applied properly.
that's important topic. Yeah, that is why education is so important. So everybody can understand what's wrong with the society right now, what's wrong with this consumerism format. And Tahira, have you got some question in your mind for Mystqx while watching this cartoon?
This a question for Mystqx. Oh, okay. Because you see, this cartoon is animation. Actually, it's a very simple way of looking at the problem, which means that we are simply not thinking. He's saying we don't have the money, but we print the money. We are simply not thinking. So Mystqx, um, you can see it's actually, we are simply not thinking, right?
Yes.
The
Um,
solution is there, right? For the problems you mentioned.
yes.
What,
I touched that on my book as well. It's how to teach people to think and challenge other people's opinion. Um, because information is very readily available now, and then I think people needs to learn how to dissect the information, challenge it if it's the truth, and think for themselves, like what is really valuable for you, or what you think is the truth for you. Because we live, like what you said, in a very consumerized society. and and I see it like, when I did the interviews with other people, as simple as this, it's a very, I thought first it's just nothing, it's a very simple topic, but then I didn't know that people are dying because of it. And it's I spoke with a person, and she's bulimic. And she has this mindset that she's fat, and she doesn't want to eat anything, and she has in her mind this figure that she is only beautiful if she's like that. And and when you start thinking, you think, this model is very nice, she looks nice in this dress, I could look nice in this dress. It starts with that small thinking, without even challenging your own thoughts. This model is this height and this person, would it really look good on me because I'm just this small or this height? But without really making you feel bad about it. And so I realized that people are not challenging anymore what they think. They see something on the TV, they believe in it, and that's it, without really thinking for themselves. Is it really good for me? Is it for me? Is it what I want? And like simple topics such as um, like this fashion, and people are being manipulated to think that only this would look good on you, or only that would look on you. People lose their individuality already, or people lose their creativity already, because they think this set or this thing is for you, without really thinking or teaching people how to challenge it for themselves. Is this really for me? Or it doesn't feel comfortable for me, that I don't want it. But then they see, because it looks like that, and she says like this, then people are already manipulated to thinking that that's only it. And if it's not, if it doesn't fit me, I am not good anymore, or I don't look beautiful anymore, or something like that. I thought it's a very simple topic, but when I spoke with this person who's bulimic, and she has friends also, I thought that media is really doing something crazy with us, just feeding us information instead of teaching people more on how to think for themselves, and to challenge other people's thought instead of feeding information.
Thanks a lot, Mystic, for this deep insights. And I feel like many people who will watch this video afterwards, they will have something to think about. And the red line of this interview, what I feel is that we really need changes. Our world really needs changes, and every person should be involved into these changes. And Creative Society is a project which can unite people, all people in the world who are ready for these changes and who are not actually, maybe 1% of the world, but we are more than 99% people who are tired to live in this consumerism. And our project is huge. I think you all understand that building creative society in the whole world is a big aim. But we are also not little people. There are already millions of people all over the world who are implementing creative society ideas in the world and sharing information about this amazing project. And big projects are consisted of small steps, and small by small we can build something huge. And the smallest, but the easiest step, which is available for every person and everybody who is watching this, is registering and joining Creative Society project. You can visit our website. Now I'm addressing to viewers, but also to our guests. Our website, allatraunites.com. There you can choose convenient language for you, and pressing red button join, you will show a will to live in this format of society, Creative Society. So please, dear viewers, don't hesitate to join. It's a simple action, but it's actually something which will be a small step to build and make this amazing change in the world. Join us. We are waiting.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Thank you for your deep topics, which you actually talked about today. And thank you so much, for picking up, because just listening you came understanding that, we are all living in some type of like pictures, illusions, and we're trying to reach something which is, in fact, we even don't need. Yeah. And the best beauty, the best power of person is to be yourself, as you said, to find out that good one inside you, which is actually making you happy, which doesn't depend on how you look, how other person think, and so on, but it's to be you. And maybe we need to get rid of all these masks, and really start living, because life is something wonderful. So thank you so much, Tahira. Also, thank you so much for being with us today. Maybe you'd like also to share something.
Well, I feel that what we covered today was quite timely. The world is in a really tipping point. It seems to be getting more intense. But we need to, as it gets more intense, we need to get more into ourselves, more into reflecting and not reacting. There's too much reaction going on. You see so much of it. We need to go more into ourselves and looking at, why am I saying this? Why am I doing this? Am I living like a robot? Am I living automatic? Doing the same thing again and again. Am I going to start changing my mind? Am I going to think differently? We need to start thinking differently and not be in automatic pilot.
Mm-hmm.
So easy to start the day doing the same thing, saying the same thing, and living the same way. And finally, as you mentioned, consumerism. We need to shift away from consumerism to the human. What is living? We need to live beyond ourselves, not for ourselves, but ourselves plus beyond, okay? As a community, we need to live beyond ourselves. That's important.
Yeah, that's really true. And that's really those perspectives which we even can't imagine when we stop following something, but really start living. And I'm very grateful for this discussion today. It's really brought many insights. And I would like to invite all of you and all our viewers to the upcoming conference, which is actually picking up the most important question for every person. The topic of the conference, life after death, fiction and facts. This is in fact that question which every person is asking. And this is in fact the truth which in 21st century, with all the science and so on, we need to have answers about. So let's together to find it, and then really we can get this freedom to live and enjoy every moment. So thank you so much for being with us today. Let's watch the trailer and hope to see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much as well.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you, girls.
There is a question that every person asks themselves. We address science and religion to find the answer to it. Already, for 6,000 years, we have been trying to find out. Is there life after death? For the first time in history, scientists, physicians, clergymen, and eyewitnesses will seek the answer all together. Does reincarnation exist? Fear of death, what is its nature? How do we, alive people, know what death is? Who benefits from hiding facts about a person's after-death fate? Human consciousness is outside the body. The prophets knew the truth about the afterlife fate of humans. What does science say? Is the state of heaven and hell explained by physics? What are we here for? Answers to the most important questions for every person. May 22nd, 2021, International Online Conference. Life After Death, Fiction and Facts.